first award that we will be presenting tonight is West Carrollton Masonic Temple Lodge 737, and it's our Citizen Recognition Award. So can I have the representatives of the lodge come down? Oh, I got a whole speech. The official definition of the Citizen Recognition Award is that it is given in recognition of actions or achievements that have directly benefited the department, any of its members, or the community in an exceptional manner. The members of Lodge 737 have definitely checked all those boxes, and here's their story. 25 years ago, members of the West Carrollton Masonic Temple Lodge 737 decided that they wanted to serve their local community around the Christmas holiday. They knew that many first responders had to work during Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and weren't able to be home with family or friends. They also knew that there were not many options for first responders to get a decent meal. Even if some places were open, lodge members did not like the fact that the first responders would be eating alone. Their solution to this was to create the Community Caretakers Christmas Meal Program. How the program works is that the lodge opens its doors for first responders from the afternoon of Christmas Eve through the night and into the evening of Christmas Day. They keep the doors open for over 24 continuous hours, during which time the members provide a ton of awesome food and wonderful fellowship. Over the years, the lodge has expanded this event to include anyone that works during these hours, or even anyone that just wants to drop by, such as retirees, gas and electric employees, snowplow operators, first responders from any community, medical professionals, and even the news media, who always seem to stick their microphone in your face as soon as you stuff your mouth full of cabbage rolls. For the lodge members, what started out as a way to get back to their community has turned out to be a long-standing and cherished tradition for so many people, not just in West Carrollton, but also in many of the surrounding communities. Christmas simply would not be the same without going to the Masonic Temple for fellowship with everybody over good food. As a way to commemorate and record moments of each year, Charlie or Vicki Cooper will take a picture of everyone that attends and then place the pictures in a photo album. There are stacks of photo albums on each side or on each of the tables that date back to the mid-90s. Most of these albums contain a few pictures that some people might not want others to see. Pictures of dark, thick mustaches, Billy Ray Cyrus mullets, pictures of people wearing an ugly Christmas sweater when they didn't realize they were wearing an ugly Christmas sweater. Then there are pictures of those that are no longer with us. Some have moved on to other employment, some have retired, and some have passed on. Regardless, providing us with the opportunity and privilege to look back at each of these last 25 Christmas holidays is appreciated and remarkable. Remarkable. Using the word remarkable is a good way to conclude this introduction. What the members of the West Carrollton Masonic Temple Lodge 737 have done is truly remarkable. They have sacrificed their time and worked extremely hard for the past 25 years in a row. They do this all for the service of others. So, in keeping with the finest tradition of the West Carrollton Police Department, this Citizen Recognition Award is hereby awarded to the members of the West Carrollton Masonic Temple Lodge 737 for conducting yourself in such a manner as would be considered exemplary. We have one more for you.
How are you, buddy? Good to see you. How are you?
Thank you, Charlie.
You guys back here?
And if nobody's been down there on Christmas, they do have the best cabbage rolls. So. Before we start presenting the various department members their awards, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to provide some context to their achievements. The men and women of this department consistently deliver an exceptional level of service to our community. While other communities can make the same statement, what sets our agency apart from other police departments is that the high level of service is accomplished with far fewer people. I know that I've described our activity level before, so instead of just telling you how busy our people are, I prepared a very brief presentation to show you. So looking at your screens, you'll see 5 local departments: Moraine, Centerville, Springboro, Miamisburg, and West Carrollton. The number next to each city represents the total number of personnel minus support staff. Moraine has 33, Centerville has 41, and so on. Under the cities is a breakdown of the jurisdiction by staff, examining how many officers, detectives, and supervisors that comprise each department. The staffing levels of the other four departments is significantly higher. The next section involves the same jurisdictions in relationship to the total number of calls for service for 2018 and 2019. It is important that I tell you that all the numbers you see were provided by the members of the individual agencies. If you travel horizontally across 2018 and 2019, you'll see the numbers of call for service for each agency. Our department falls in line with other jurisdictions. However, comparing the calls for service of each department is not an apples-to-apples comparison, does not provide a true picture of just how hardworking these men and women are. Calls for service can be broken down into 2 categories. The first is dispatch calls. The second is officer-initiated calls. The problem with comparing the number of calls for service for one agency against another is that the more officers a department has, the more officer-initiated activity there's going to be. So if you look at the numbers in orange, they represent the average number of calls for service that are adjusted to correspond with the number of personnel of our department. In other words, given the same set of circumstances as Moraine, the officers of West Carrollton would have had over 21,000 calls for service, which is over 4,000 more, or an additional 19%. And you can compare each department year to year. The numbers in the next section designate how many calls for service an individual officer from each department handled in 2018 and 2019. Each one of our officers, on average, handled hundreds more calls for service than their counterparts. The number in parentheses denotes what the number reflects as a percentage. For example, an individual officer from our department handled twice as many calls for service as an individual officer for Centerville. These are rudimentary statistics and are only intended to provide a foundational understanding of the dedication and commitment that these men and women demonstrate on a daily basis. While it is not as easy to quantify, the activity level of the members of our support staff are as equally impressive. It is in this context that I would like you to consider as each of these men and women are presented with their awards. Earlier in 2019, on the evening of July 4th, 2019, there was an incident that occurred in the north end of the city. This incident would have been catastrophic had it not been for the actions of the department personnel. A large crowd had gathered in the streets around the north end to watch the fireworks. An intoxicated individual in a pickup truck drove recklessly through the area, driving through yards and almost striking countless individuals. The following police personnel were directly responsible for the fact that there was only one person who received a minor injury throughout the entire incident. These individuals have already been presented with a letter of commendation. Sergeant Alex Flynn, Sergeant Jeremy Branham, Detective Scott Lawson, Officer Jared Moore, Officer Bobby Selman, Officer Michael Holtrip, Officer Derek Dillman, Officer Paige Callahan, and Officer Ian Hogston. First award that we'll talk about for this year is the Perfect Attendance Award. Perfect Attendance Award is given to any department employee who distinguishes themselves by having perfect attendance during a calendar year. The award for 2019 goes to 8 department members, which is about a third of our agency. Sergeant Alex Flynn, Sergeant Jeremy Branham, Detective Scott Lawson, Officer Mo Flouty, Officer Jared Moore, Officer Matt Harper, Officer Derek Dillman, and Records Clerk Christine Tatol. Receiving this award is a very special accomplishment. As a member of the law enforcement community, the odds of having perfect attendance is stacked against you. Some of these people work outside and for long periods of time in all kinds of weather. They could be working on the interstate in a snowstorm, on the railroad tracks in freezing rain, or outside at a crime scene in 90-degree temperatures. Our civilian employees often work in confined spaces that can sometimes serve as an incubator during the cold and flu season. Many of our employees have children who really like to share any and all illnesses that have picked up with the rest of their families. By having perfect attendance, these employees have demonstrated an extremely strong commitment to the department and to the profession, as well as to the citizens of our community. Again, congratulations to Sergeant Flynn, Sergeant Branham, Detective Lawson, Officer Flouty, Officer Moore, Officer Harper, Officer Dillman, and Records Clerk Tatol. Officer Mo Flouty has already received the Exemplary Service Award for 2019 for her actions as our Public Information Officer. The next Exemplary Service Award is going to be presented to Detective Scott Lawson. The Exemplary Service Award is given for an act or conduct which is considered to be outstanding. The act or conduct that was exhibited directly contributed to the safety of the public or the coordination and benefits of the members of the West Carrollton Police Department. Detective Lawson is receiving this award for his overall work performance. However, there's one case in particular that stands out from the many that he investigated over the course of 2019. The case itself actually occurred in February of 2018 and involved an assault by a staff member of two mentally challenged elderly patients at a group home located in our city. Upon arrival at the scene, Detective Lawson and other department members noticed that there appeared to be blood evidence throughout the room. They also determined that someone had spent a great deal of time trying to clean up the scene. A search was conducted of the area around the home, which resulted in the location of bloody clothing and bottles of alcohol. Through interviews and tedious investigation, Detective Lawson was able to ascertain which employee was the primary suspect, as well as identify a couple of employees who were complicit in the crime. One of the victim's health continued to deteriorate, and unfortunately, he passed away due to his injuries approximately 3 weeks after having been assaulted. So now Detective Lawson has a homicide case. Since everyone involved were healthcare workers and were subject to state and federal laws such as HIPAA, investigation became extremely difficult. The case was also problematic because there was some time between the victim having been assaulted and when he passed away. Detective Lawson filed numerous search warrants, court orders, in order to obtain information needed for the prosecution of the case. However, the company that employed the suspect was concerned about potential litigation, which resulted in a reduced level cooperation. Detective Lawson relentlessly investigated the case for approximately 18 months before it was taken to grand jury. The grand jury returned indictments of involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and 2 counts of patient abuse. When commenting about the investigation, Detective Allison stated, "Detective Scott Lawson did an excellent job investigating this homicide case, and in the process displayed a tremendous amount of mental endurance as well as perseverance. There were so many twists and turns during this investigation, including the prime witness dying just before grand jury. Detective Lawson went an extra mile on an extremely difficult case to bring it to a successful conclusion. Personally, I know that Detective Lawson felt a personal obligation to this case because the deceased victim had no one to seek justice on his behalf. Detective Lawson provided the victim a voice. So, in keeping with the finest tradition of the West Carrollton Police Department, the Exemplary Service Award is hereby awarded to Detective Scott Lawson for conducting yourself in such a manner as would be considered above and beyond the call of duty. Our last award is the 2019 Employee of the Year Award. 2019 Employee of the Year Award is being presented to Tracy Rankin. The Employee of the Year Award is given to a department employee who is recognized for an act or achievement or series of events in the previous year. Every member of the department has a role in determining the Employee of the Year. Department members are free to nominate anyone they so choose and cite the various reasons they believe that person should be considered for this award. So this truly is an award that is received from your peers. So if I can have Tracy step down. I'd like to start by reading some of the reasons that others felt that Tracy deserved to be named Employee of the Year. Some of these comments have been paraphrased. In 2015, Tracy was assigned as the project manager for the integration of our new records management system, or RMS, called TAC-10. To initiate the process, there were multiple meetings that took place between TAC-10 and members of the department. The indication that the migration from the current RMS to TAC-10 would take between 6 months to 1 year. The actual go-live date for this project turned out to be April of 2019, over 3.5 years later. There was a tremendous amount of activity that took place between 2015 and 2019, almost exclusively by Tracy. Please keep in mind that Tracy continued to perform her regular duties that required a full 40 hours a week. Here are just a few of the highlights that took place during the 3.5 years time span. One of the major delays that we experienced involved the consistently changing personnel the vendor was using to facilitate the project. Another company had purchased the vendor, which resulted in the shuffling of employees. Tracy had to work with 7 different project managers over the course of this venture. It seemed as though we would take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Another delay related to the personnel issue with the vendor was that no one in the company seemed to have an idea on how the program should be applied. They were extremely lacking in knowledge concerning the practical application of their own records management system. Over the course of time, Tracy became very familiar with the application of various reports, citations, arrests, and other aspects of the program. Tracy's time and effort on conducting these entries not only led to a smooth transition for the department, but caught many errors that would have caused issues for the entire department. One of the speed bumps the department experienced was because we were changing from summary reporting to a NIBRS, or National Incident-Based Reporting System. These reporting systems are the way in which we collect and report our data to the FBI so that they can use it for statistical purposes. The FBI was mandating that all agencies report to them using the NIBRS system within a certain time period. To complicate things, the state of Ohio also has their own version of NIBRS called OIBRS, and it's just different enough from the FBI system that it complicates the process even more. Without getting into much more detail, changing to the NIBRS system would be like someone trying to learn a new language. Tracy developed such a detailed working knowledge of the TAC-10 RMS that she was able to create a training curriculum, training manual, and provide training to the rest of the department herself. Because her knowledge of the system was superior to that of the employees of the vendor, because Tracy conducted all the training herself, the department did not have to pay for any training, resulting in the city saving approximately $12,000. Because of the time that she needed to devote to this project, Tracy often found herself scheduling time off or vacations when she could fit it in with her TAC-10 duties. Often this meant that Tracy would take a shorter vacation, change the time of her vacation, or not take a vacation at all. So what I've discussed so far is only a fraction of the turmoil the department, specifically Tracy, endured over the 3.5 years. So you may be wondering why we tolerated this situation and why we didn't cancel our contract and proceed with another vendor. The fact was, because we were an existing customer, the vendor provided the new reporting platform at a substantial discount, less than 1/2 the usual cost. By using this vendor, the saving to the city was significant. Throughout this arduous process, Tracy's focus remained on the successful completion of the project. When asked about the difficulties that she was having, or if she wanted to step away from this vendor, Tracy consistently stated that she wanted to stay the course because it was in the best interest of our department. Sergeant Flynn writes in his nomination that it is an understatement to say that most department employees below the chiefs don't have any idea how much time and effort Tracy put into this endeavor, myself included. Additionally, I think most of us do not fully understand how in-depth this was or how important it is to our day-to-day operations and the future of our department. Tracy is a positive person to be around and without a doubt an asset to the department. We are very fortunate to have someone like Tracy. We consistently talk about working together as a team in order for the department to accomplish our mission in a more effective and efficient manner. But sometimes there are difficult tasks that one person takes upon themselves to complete. And it's because of the success of that one person that the team benefits greatly. This is one of those times. So, in keeping with the finest tradition of the West Carrollton Police Department, the Employee of the Year Award for 2019 is hereby awarded to Tracy Rankin for conducting yourself in such a manner as would be considered above and beyond the call of duty. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. To Tracy, congratulations. Scott, the same to you and all the recipients tonight, especially the West Carrollton Masonic Lodge 737. You've done this for years, and it's a great thing that you do. To be able to provide everybody with fellowship and food on Christmas Eve, it's a great thing that you do. Other comments by council?
Yeah, I'd like to comment if I may. I was sitting here thinking that as a city council and mayor, we aren't aware of everything that goes on around here during a normal workday. But we sit here and we listen to this kind of presentation, and I can assure you we're all extremely proud of the people that work for the city of West Carrollton, and that's an understatement. And I was also thinking about the fact we've commented a couple of times in years past about how the state has treated cities throughout the state by cutting local government funds. In our particular case, about $1.1 million a year since 2011, thereabouts. Yet, and we've commented that how wonderful it was that our city has not suffered any appreciable loss of services during this time, in spite of the loss of this income from the state. And every year, we have an occasion like this to really just sit back and admire the people that work for the city of West Carrollton and what a wonderful job they do. And we commented in the past that from the city manager down through the department heads, through the different departments, fire department, the police department, and others in the offices and administrative positions. What a fantastic, I don't think we stopped to think about what a fantastic job they've all done over these last several years, and to the extent that our citizens who we work for have not really experienced any loss in services. It's just fantastic. You guys are here tonight are just representative of the kind of people that this city has working for it from top to bottom. And I hope, for myself, as well as everyone else, that we kind of remember this. This is a pretty neat ceremony, if you ask me. And some neat people were were represented and recognized tonight. That kind of service happens around here every day from every level of employees that we have in the city, in my opinion. So I don't know, you know, times like this, you always, folks like us look for something profound that we might be able to say that, and it never comes, and that's good, I guess. But this is a good reason to sit back and admire the employees of the city of West Carrollton. It really is. So I hope everybody that sees this or heard this tonight, and although you wouldn't believe it, I can't believe it, there are a lot of people that watch this stuff on TV. So those folks who took the time and interest to watch it, I hope they feel as proud as I do of the folks we have working for us. So just thank you.
I'll go next, I guess. In spite of what Harold just said, I'm going to say something profound, at least in my own mind, okay? So it may not be to you guys, but it will be to me. Now, first off, Charlie and Masonic Temple, you all have always done a great job. It's really been greatly appreciated. It's good to see that you got an award for what you do and some recognition throughout the city. Thanks again. We appreciate everything you do. All the award winners, you guys guys and gals do a great job every day. We know that. This just exemplary shows everything that you guys do. And we also know that there's always probably a bunch more commendations that we don't hear about. You know, same with the streets department, all the other departments. They all are doing a great job, Parks and Rec. And, you know, there's awards out there that we just don't hear about that they get during the day. But we do appreciate all the services from our departments, and congratulations.
I'd just like to congratulate the award winners in the police department. I always say the same thing. We're very proud of you, and Harold said that. We've all reiterated that. But you guys do a great job keeping the city safe, and we appreciate that. And Tracy, congratulations. You helped us keep the lights on, because I'm sure you saved a lot of money, so that was great. And to the Masonic Temple, I look every year for the news clip to see you guys, and because I find great joy in that acts of kindness are still displayed in the world today, and West Carrollton is highlighted when we do that, and that makes me very proud. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I want to thank everyone for everything you've done. And just another example, Tracy, of what you did. We're kind of going through the same thing right now with a vendor that's not been that great to work with. But the bottom line, sometimes you have to look at savings money, and it was probably tougher on you, but it saved money in the end. So thanks for continuing to push on and get that done, and at the same time think about taxpayer dollars that you were using to do that. And the award for the Citizen Award, I'm so glad you guys have continued that on to recognize the citizens that participate and contribute to the community that we don't get to hear about. Congratulations to Masonic Lodge. It was a great selection this year, so congratulations to all of you. And thank you for everybody on the police department.
Congratulations to everyone. I'll sound like a broken record. I agree with everything that was said about everyone here that was recognized, and I know there's so many more people behind the scenes that do a great job. So thank you. We do appreciate it, and we do see that. And Tracy, I think you need more than an award. You need a vacation paid for by the city. I'll talk to Brad. Thank you, everyone.